must be someone else.
If everyone will kind of gather in a little bit closer, since we're close, I'm close to the fountain.
How are you doing?
I will project as loudly as I can. If you cannot hear me, please let me know and we'll adjust.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Get away from the fountain.
That's an adjustment. That's good.
There you go. All right. Can you not hear me at all?
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. All right. So, welcome to Sylva's Candlelight Vigil. This is in honor and memoriam of those victims for lack of healthcare access and people that are suffering now from lack of healthcare access and medication. My name is Carrie McBain, and I am a new community organizer for Down Home, North Carolina, and I very much appreciate seeing the community support from my fellow citizens, so thank you very, very much. And I am just, the vigil will just be about half an hour, all right? And then near the end, if you have questions, need some more information, we'll go over it then, okay? But again, if you can't hear me, stop and let me know, and I'll repeat whatever I need to, okay? Thank you. All right, so thank you everyone for gathering tonight to remember the suffering and the lives of people who died because they were unable to access the health care that they needed. At this very moment, there are hundreds of people in about 21 towns all across North Carolina who are gathering in front of their local courthouse, cemeteries, community parks, riverfronts, foothills, mountains, sandhills, the triangle, and the coast, because unaffordable health care and lack of health insurance affects all of us. Now, if any of you have ever been uninsured, know someone who is uninsured, know someone who has died or suffered, gone into debt, or anything related to lack of health care because they couldn't access the care they needed, please raise your hand. And if you want to look around at your community, these are how many people that are affected on a day-to-day basis. That means yourself, family members, friends, and acquaintances. All right, so I think that this is a lot more prevalent than we know. So I appreciate if you raised your hand because it's a vulnerable subject, and we want you to understand that you are not alone in this. So my next thing that I'd like to go over with you folks are some statistics that I pulled off the website, and so I'm not sure if any of you are aware of any of these statistics, but I would say so. But sorry, let me start over. So North Carolina's black population that have incomes below 100% of the poverty level is 551,378. Of the state's black population that have incomes between 100 and 125% of the poverty level are 152,595. Of North Carolina's white, non-Hispanic population that have income levels below 100% of the poverty level is 729,807 people. Of the state's white, non-Hispanic population that have incomes between 100 and 125% of the poverty level is 253,577. North Carolina's Hispanic population that have incomes below 100% of the poverty level is 283,247. Of the Hispanic population that has incomes between 100 and 125% of the poverty level is 90,434. Of North Carolina's Native American population that have incomes below 100% of the poverty level are 32,555. Of the state's Native American population that have incomes between 100 and 125% of the poverty level are 8,365. Moving on. So a deeper look into those statistics for North Carolina. Oops. I think I just did it. In just a second. All right. So the economic impact of not closing the health insurance gap for the state of North Carolina. So for Jackson County alone, and this is done by the Center for Health Policy Research, estimates that between 2016 and 2020, not expanding Medicaid in this county would result in 305 jobs not created by 2020, 103,800,000 in reduction in county business activity, 668,000 loss in county revenue tax, 17,245,000 of losses in uncompensated care savings. In the current economic impacts of the county's health sector, according to the quarterly census of employment and wages in 2015, the healthcare and social assistance sector in Jackson County says that, I'm sorry, sorry, I think I misread that. Give me just a moment, please. Okay, so let me read that again, please. According to the quarterly census of employment and wages in 2015, the healthcare and social assistance sector in Jackson County provided a total of 1,677 jobs and 38,820,496 in taxable wages. Between 2000 and 2015, taxable wages in Jackson County changed by 48% in the healthcare and social assistance sector and by 10% for the total of all industries. All right, so population with income below 125% of level by race. The county's black population with incomes below 100% of poverty level are 506. The county's black population with incomes between 100 and 125% of the poverty level are 7. For white non-Hispanic population with incomes below 100% of poverty level are 5,468. The white non-Hispanic population with incomes between 100 and 125% poverty level are 12,032. And the county's Hispanic population with incomes below 100% of poverty level are 1,275. Hispanic population with incomes between 100 and 125% of poverty level are 97. Native American population with incomes below 100% of poverty level are 917. The Native American population with incomes between 100 and 125% of poverty level are 232. I know that was a lot to absorb, but also I can tell you that, and I think it's on your page. Chelsea, do you have the... I'm not seeing my page. Yes. It's the bottom, what does that say, North? NC what?
NC Rural?
Yes. What does that mean?
NC Rural Center?
Right. So for those statistics that I just read, if you couldn't hear me or want more information, you're going to go, it's on that one piece of paper that you have at the very bottom. It's ncruralcenter.org. Okay, to get more information, and you can plug in whatever county you live in. The stats I just gave were for Jackson County, but you can do Alamance, Haywood, any other county, so you can see the difference in the statistics, okay? So the next thing that I would like to do is anyone willing or would they like to share a healthcare story by a loved one that has suffered or died from lack of healthcare access, or your own story? Would anyone like to come up and speak a little bit about a healthcare story.
I do, and I want to put some of this into context too.
Absolutely, yeah, please do.
So I have a story that I wanted to share, but I wanted to let y'all know that the reason that we're here tonight, we've actually been fighting for Medicaid expansion in North Carolina since about 2010 now, unsuccessfully, unfortunately. This past election, we were able to break the single-party supermajority in the state legislature, giving us a stronger chance of passing Medicaid expansion. As we've seen, the Medicaid bills in both the Senate and the House chambers have not even made it to the floor to get a vote. So, our last shot at getting Medicaid expansion in 2019 is through the budget process. And what we're seeing right now is that the legislature is proposing a budget that does not include Medicaid expansion. But we have a governor who has put it as number one on his priority list and who has said he will not sign a budget that does not include Medicaid expansion. So the reason that we are showing up tonight is because we want to show our governor that we stand with him and that he has every right to do what is right for the people of North Carolina and to fight for us and to veto any budget that does not allocate money to go to making sure that our citizens can live their healthiest, best, most effective lives in the state of North Carolina. So that's why I wanted to just say, that's why we're here tonight. This message is going to be sent to the governor, and not just the governor, but also our representatives who can sustain his veto, right? And who can propose alternative budgets that do actually have a line item for Medicaid expansion included. But my story, and I really want to invite y'all to share your story too. My story is about my uncle who raised me for a good portion of my childhood. I was raised by a single mother, and so it literally took a village to come around and raise me into the young woman that I am today. And my uncle didn't have any children of his own, and so he always said that I was practically his daughter. He had my initials tattooed on his arm, and I always remember him as being like this super gruff, hard-working, just Appalachian man through and through. Like, he worked in an auto shop. He always came home covered in grease and had very calloused hands. And when I went to Western Carolina for college, just shortly after I started, he got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and he couldn't work anymore. And I watched for about 2 years as he and my aunt had to sell the very little bit that they did own in order to pay for his treatment because he wasn't old enough to qualify for Medicare yet. And this is before we had the option of expanding Medicaid for folks like him. So they sold their car, they sold their furniture, they didn't own a home, so they moved out of their rental home so that they could save that money. And by the time that he passed away, he was on an air mattress in an RV that a friend was letting him stay in. And he died with what I felt was not the dignity that he deserved for how hardworking and how loving and giving that he had been his whole life. And I know that he was not alone. And that's really what brought me to organizing and what brought me to fighting alongside of folks down home, because that was a moment when I recognized that it didn't matter if you worked 40 hours a week, and it didn't matter if you worked 7 days a week, but that our country only valued you if you were born into a certain family that was already valued by the most elite. And so I don't believe that is fair. And that really was a pivotal moment in my lifestyle, watching someone that I love, who sacrificed so much, have to die at the hands of a cruel country that could have prevented it. Thanks, y'all. And please share your stories too, because that's what we're here for.
And I will add to that, I know quite a few of you in the crowd, but I don't know if you guys realize that in the last year I have had my own healthcare struggles. It caused depression. It made me feel that North Carolina does not care about me, that the healthcare industry is only interested in charging you $400 to $500 for a 5-minute visit, which is what I've experienced. The only healthcare provider that looked out for me was Blue Ridge Health Clinic, and I can't tell you how much thanks and credit I give to them for looking out for me. In 5 minutes time, where I spent $450 for a specialist to not help me, they said, we think that you have type 2 diabetes. So I suffered from mood swings, depression, dry mouth, vision change. I lost about 50 pounds in 8 months. There's all sorts of symptoms, so if you ever have any experience with diabetes, you're well acquainted with these symptoms. But yeah, in 5 minutes time, they looked at me and said, type 2 diabetes, but we're gonna run a lot of blood tests. We need you to stay as long as you're able to. My first visit lasted 3 hours, and that was fine by me. And I told them, as I sat in the office and cried, I said, I would wait 6 hours here for you just to help me. And that's exactly what they did. So all credit is due to Blue Ridge Health Clinic for helping me. So I don't know if some of you are aware of that. And I had worked in the restaurant industry for close to 14 years. And I think a lot of people know how difficult it is on your body, physically and demanding. And how I got to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. So that is my story from that. And thankfully I'm on the road to recovery, and I'm doing what I can to make sure I stay that way. And so I'd like to invite anybody else, if you would like to come stand next to me. I won't leave your side, I promise, and share a story. If no one feels comfortable doing that, I just have a couple small little bits from people that have shared their story already.
I'm happy to share a story that hits close to me, but I didn't come here thinking I really have much to say, because I'm sure that a lot of you, including you, Carrie, have much more severe health problems than I or a lot of people I know do, but I'm just comfortable to talk, so I'm happy to do that for a minute. My name's Abby. I have mental illness, depression, anxiety. I do pay for insurance. Although I just got a letter in the mail last week from Blue Cross Blue Shield that I've been kicked off my plan, and I haven't had the time to get on the phone and spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to figure that issue out yet. So I'm not quite sure what's even going on with my health insurance at the moment, to be honest. But I wanted to just say something about my husband and my best friend and roommate. He is, I guess, 36 years old, and definitely has undiagnosed bipolar depression, but he doesn't have health insurance, and he and I are also both servers, so it's kind of hard sometimes to make ends meet without, we're not offered insurance through our job. And the thing I wanted to say is how difficult it is to love someone and live with someone and watch them struggle with being manic, and hearing them scurry around the house all night and not sleep, and then to watch them sleep in bed all day when it's beautiful, and they have to, you love them, and you know their skill sets, and you know their ambitions, and you know what amazing people they are, but to watch them just like not even be able to get up for the day, it's really upsetting. And I have tried to be an advocate for this friend and try to reach out to healthcare providers to say, okay, like, would you, like, my mental health services that I receive, would you be willing to operate on a sliding scale for my friend? How could I get my friend in the door at this clinic? How could I help my friend? Because he's not in a position at this point to advocate for himself in those ways. And I'm willing to do that, and I love to do that because I love this person so much, but it's just a little messed up that that our system is structured where it becomes so, when you're battling depression, already so hard to advocate for yourself, but then 10 times more difficult to reach out for the things that you need. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Abby. Yeah, appreciate it. Would anyone else like to share anything? Yes, would like to come up here? Renee? Wonderful.
I can say that I've been very fortunate because I've always had a job, always had insurance. And I came up in a time where when you worked at a place, people took care of you. After we had the recession, it was interesting to see how many people had to recreate themselves. So they had to go work anywhere that they could to make a ways and means to do what they needed to do. And with that, they couldn't get health insurance. As a mother, I have a son who was afflicted with addiction. And for 13 years, I watched him go in and out. trying to get help, but he didn't have any insurance. He was working odd jobs, construction, and so he didn't have the insurance to go to some of these treatment centers that you can go into, where you have to have the insurance. And I had to help him financially, and it brought me down. Thank God he had his family to help him in some of this. Some people don't. But when somebody needs help, mental health, or physical health, or has a disease, and they're turned away because they don't have any insurance, it's a horrible thing. And for those that struggle, as you were saying, Abby, with mental health or anything like that, and they're already depressed, and then they're being turned around, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go.
And they end up self-medicating a lot with alcohol and drugs.
Right, so that's what they do. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword when you look at it and what's going on in this country with Medicaid. You know, I just got finished taking a sociology course last spring over here at SBC, and it was interesting to look at the statistics that go on with healthcare. And they're talking about 2031. There's a lot of things that are going to run out if we don't do something about it. And everybody, you know, talks about, I don't know, there's so many people I run into, and everybody has something to say about healthcare and the issues that go on. I don't think I know anybody that doesn't know somebody that has had a problem with just trying to get some health care. But, you know, it's not going to get any better if we don't do something about it, if we don't stand up and start letting our voices be heard. You know, Governor Cooper, you know, if this is the first thing on your agenda, you need to get on it, because we need to make something happen here. Time is running out. And I know that I fight for my son, but I also fight for other people as well. And I'm not going to sit down and watch this go on anymore. It's time to take action. So thank you. You know what? You're doing a good thing.
Thank you, Lynette. And she's right. I am here to help fight for others as well. Yes. Who else would like to share? Trev?
No. So, hello. My name is Trevor Gates. As you can see, well, maybe you can. I wouldn't be able to. I'm not able to see. I lost my vision. What? I lost my vision last year at the age of 22. I've been one of the fortunate ones, sort of, when it comes to healthcare, because I've been on disability since I was little. But for 4 years, I've had to fight to keep it. They threatened to take it away, and in that time I lost my vision. And they're still threatening to take it away. And I'm in a place with my family that if this gets ripped out from under me, I'm going to be in the same boat as many people I've known and loved. I won't be able to afford my medication for my severe mental illnesses, and the health conditions that nearly killed me as a kid that have been dormant and taken care of. If they come back, then that could be the end. I am one of a lot of people who my benefits are being threatened and taken away, and there's nothing to fall back into. There's nothing that if what's keeping me afloat right now sinks, there's no safety net. I would just be up the creek without a paddle, as they say. And it's time to make sure that people don't have to worry or ignore health conditions or ignore potential problems because they can't afford it. That's unacceptable. It's not acceptable to have people choose to suffer when we have the resources available to cure almost any illness or whatever is bothering somebody. So, thank you.
All right, would anyone else like to come forward and share?
My name's Brian Mitchell. I came here tonight. I drove from Murphy to be part of Vigil with the folks that... my name's Brian Mitchell. I came from Murphy tonight to share in the Vigil because I believe North Carolina should expand Medicaid. I practice medicine there. I've been in practice for 42 years, and I've witnessed so many cases of patients of mine who are unable to afford health care. These are responsible people, working people, paying their taxes, but unable to get employer-based health care, unable to afford health care, can't qualify for Medicaid in North Carolina, which is extremely difficult, but do not make enough money to qualify for the Affordable Care Act. These people deny or delay themselves health care. They take chances on their health care every day. And if they gamble and win, fine. But if they gamble and lose, they lose their health and their finances both. I've seen folks who deny themselves screening colonoscopies when their family has a strong history of colon cancer. And they say, I can't afford a colonoscopy because I'll lose my house. I've seen wait staff a lady who couldn't afford a mammogram and gets an incurable breast cancer. I saw a fellow with a complicated intestinal infection who had recurrent infections and bleeding and couldn't afford health care. I would do my best to treat him in the office, but he still suffers regularly with infections and bleeding, and he doesn't have the money to afford the expensive surgery. But I came for the Vigil tonight to remember one of my patients who was 62 years of age. He had severe heart disease, and he needed a cath and a bypass, and he couldn't afford it because he was not on any health insurance, didn't have Medicaid, and he thought he could wait till age 65 to be qualified for Medicare. And that was his gamble. But his gamble was lost because he died of sudden cardiac death because he could not afford health care. He could not get the care that would have preserved his life and kept him alive and with us today. So that's why I'm for Medicaid expansion. That's why I hope you are. And I'm always reminded of that statement of the truest measure of a country's greatness is how it cares for its most vulnerable.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to share? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Delia, and North Carolina is my home now. When I came here, my son brought me here to live in the clean air because I have a lung disease that has disseminated in my body called coccidioidomycosis or valley fever. And anyway, I didn't have insurance for a full year. I went from losing my job because I wasn't well enough to work and having insurance, which of course pays a lot anyway. But, you know, you lose everything you have, your home, your finances, your ability to work, and not being able, you know, I was getting paid for medications that I needed, but I needed blood tests every 3 months because it's kind of like a chemo type medication. It's very harmful, but I couldn't afford the $900. So for a year, I had nothing. And though I'm here for everyone that has lost their lives, I lost this past month a friend to this disease who was only 32. But I'm fortunate I'm still here. And now, being on disability and over 65 now, I do have Medicare. But many of us on Medicare cannot afford the co-pays for things that we need, whether it's a CAT scan, an MRI, or treatment. Other conditions have developed having this disease that I have, and I cannot afford the co-pays, even with Medicare, because of the Social Security that I get. It's a bit too much to get Medicaid. So I don't, not making it well, but I'm well enough to be here and have my little place. I'm blessed and fortunate to be in your mountains. But I cannot afford things like a hearing test, a hearing aid. I am losing my hearing, and other things I cannot afford, even though what I have through Medicare does pay for hearing tests. Doesn't. Pays for eye tests with my copay I can pay. I can't afford for glasses. So even those of us that are fortunate enough to have Medicare, we're falling through too. Not as bad as everyone else that doesn't even have Medicare. But those of us that have Medicare and cannot afford the high copays and cannot get part of the care that we need for life. So this is important. It is important whether you're a conservative, whether you're liberal, we're all human. We all breathe the same air, and we all have families here, and those of us in this state, and I'm fighting for those who fall through the cracks, those that have lost their lives, and those who are fighting to get the care. Excuse me, it's a good breathing day. Get the care that they need. So please, whether however you believe, as far as this is not about politics, this is about life and health here in our mountains. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely, of course. Please.
I just wanted to say real quick too, I don't know how many times, don't you always see people posting like Kickstarter campaigns or things online funding for a friend or a family member who needs help paying for debt from healthcare? It just struck me that this is not that, that's one action. That's like if you are in a position to be able to give money to someone who needs it because that happens to them, that's one action. But also, I think that being politically active and working for this kind of change is sort of like the more formalized version of doing that. And it's one that would, instead of just benefiting one individual, could benefit many. So that was just something I thought of and to say.
Yes, Lynn. Absolutely, please. This is everyone's vigil, by the way.
I'm Lynn. I have many medical problems. I'm on many different medications, and I also have chronic major depression and anxiety. Last year, for most of last year, I was working as an administrative assistant full-time during the week, as well as a part-time job every weekend, and I still couldn't afford my medications. And because of the full-time job, various reasons, I was suicidal, and one day it became imminent. So I gave my 2 weeks notice to that job against all my family's wishes, against all my friends' wishes. How was I going to afford medication? Well, I wasn't affording them already. So I quit that, and then I was able to get insurance through healthcare.gov and finally go to Blue Ridge Health because I was no longer priced out of the scale because my income had dropped significantly. But then I lost that part-time job. I gave that up because I got bronchitis and pneumonia in December. So now I'm underemployed, barely employed, and I'm risking losing or paying a huge fine next year because if I don't make enough income this year, then I'm shouldn't really be using healthcare.gov I'm paying a premium, but I'm still getting a tax credit. And now I'm picking and choosing what medication I'm using, so I'm going without about 6 of them that I should have, like my asthma medication and various things, and one of my diabetes medications. So I see a lot of people having to stay in jobs. I did that for 2 years just to keep my insurance. And if we had Medicaid Expansion, I'm in that gap. I wouldn't have had to do that. I could have quit my job for my mental health, gone on Medicaid, and still have been able to go to my doctor, had my medications, been safe and healthy the whole time, been able to be healthy enough to get another job, get right back into work again, get off Medicaid, have insurance again, and everything would have been okay. But now my health complicates getting another job, and it just goes on and on.
Yeah, you're stuck. Get stuck.
Yeah, it's a terrible cycle, and it makes it worse. And because I have that gap in no insurance and lack of medications, my health gets worse. And yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else like to share? Yes, absolutely, Kat, please.
Hi, my name is Quintiera. You can call me Kat. And I've noticed that there's a lot of similarities I had in my great-grandmother that passed away in 2014. My great-grandmother, she was at a really good age. She was 96. But I also noticed that I'm a little bit different from most of my family. I have really thin veins, so every time I actually get cold, it's usually lower than 80 degrees, so not sure what to do about that. Since my sophomore year, I actually had this one problem. I actually have chronic pain in my right ankle, and it gives me problems ever since. I can't even walk more than 2 blocks without feeling pain. I'm actually quite concerned that, especially since I was going through a lot as a young kid. I didn't have my mother for 20 years. So depression quickly set in when I realized what was going on. I didn't get to see her again until my 22nd birthday. It happened this past October. And I believe part of that actually affected how I live, especially since I don't make enough to actually get everything that I need as far as like hygiene stuff, you know, the basic needs. And I couldn't get Medicaid after I turned 21. Mainly they're like, oh, you have to have kids, or you actually have to do something else for that. I've actually been homeless between the ages of 18 and 20. That was hard for me considering I didn't have a job until afterwards. My first job was in 2017, and that affected me a lot. I'm actually concerned that I may not make it as far as my great-grandmother did. I still suffer from depression, even though I try to hide it from a lot of people. The only family I have yet is my grandmother. And she's in her 80s, so I don't know how much longer she'll be here. But I'm glad that she is. So I'm trying my best to be independent. I'm trying to do things for myself. But it's hard when you don't have the stuff that you need, especially when you don't have health care. And I hope that everyone who's going through something similar, maybe even worse, that they get what they need.
We love you.
Thank you, Kat. Yes, we love you. Thank you. All right, do we have anybody else? Kat, thank you very much. I know that was difficult. It's all difficult. I know that. I understand that. So the next quick part I wanted to go over, and then we'll light our candles. Okay. I actually picked some quotes from either medical personnel, medical providers, or politicians that I think strike at the very heart of our healthcare crisis. So I'm just going to read a couple of these that I hope that people can relate to. Okay, and then we're going to light our candles and we'll close out the ceremony. So the first one that I think is notable that everyone will know who this is, Martin Luther King, in his speech to the Medical Committee for Human Rights in 1966 said, "Of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhumane." So this next quote I thought was interesting, and I would not have guessed who said it. But it says, "Let us be the ones who say we do not accept that a child dies every 3 seconds simply because he does not have the drugs you and I have. Let us be the ones to say we are not satisfied that your place of birth determines your right for life. Let us be outraged, let us be loud, let us be bold." And that was spoken by none other than Brad Pitt. I know, that's what I said.
Go Brad.
Right, go Brad. The next one is from a politician, and he says, "Everyone should have health insurance. I say everyone should have health care. I'm not selling insurance." And that's Dennis Kucinich. The next one reads, "The thing is, you cannot ask people to coexist by having one side bow their heads and rely on a solution that is only good for the other side. What you can do is stop blaming each other and engage in dialogue with one person at a time. Everyone knows that violence begets violence and breeds more hatred. We need to find our way together. I feel I cannot rely on the various spokespersons who claim they act on my behalf. Invariably, they have some agenda that doesn't work for me. Instead, I talk to my patients, my neighbors, and colleagues, and I find out they feel as I do. We are more similar than we are different, and we are all fed up with the violence." And that was spoken by Izzaldine Abulash. My next quote is, "It is hard to talk about a middle ground for something that is a fundamental right." That was spoken by Terry Reynolds from the Obama Syndrome, Surrender at Home, War Abroad. And I just have a couple more. The next one reads, "There is no illness that is not exacerbated by stress." And that was spoken by Alan Lopos from the Patients, The Art of Peaceful Living. All right. The next one it reads, "Pick a leader who will keep jobs in your country by offering companies incentives to hire only within their borders, not one who allows corporations to outsource jobs for cheaper labor when there is a national employment crisis. Choose a leader who will invest in building bridges, not walls. Books, not weapons. Morality, not corruption. Intellectualism and wisdom, not ignorance. Stability, not fear and terror. Peace, not chaos. Love, not hate. Convergence, not segregation. Tolerance, not discrimination. Fairness, not hypocrisy. Substance, not superficiality. Character, not immaturity. Transparency, not secrecy. Justice, not lawlessness. Environmental improvement and preservation, not destruction. Truth, not lies." That was by Susie Kazan. All right, and then I will end with one more. And it reads, "In any case, seeing care for certain groups as an excessive cost reflects an arguably perverse way of thinking about healthcare in terms of human needs. In other words, care for the sick is an economic burden only in healthcare systems where profit is the bottom line, and public services are underfunded and politically unsupported. That is, systems in which only market logic is considered legitimate. And that's by Julie Guffman. So if you all will go ahead and, I'm not sure who has lighters, but if you'll go ahead and light your candles, and your neighbor next to you might have something you can light your candle with. I think everyone has their candles lit. So the last couple pieces are two poems that I selected that touched my heart, and I hope that it touches yours as well. The first one is called A Child of Mine by Edgar Guest. And it reads, I will lend you for a little time a child of mine, he said, for you to love the while he lives and mourn for when he's dead. It may be 6 or 7 years, or 22 or 3, but will you, till I call him back, take care of him for me? He'll bring his charms to gladden you, and should his stay be brief, you'll have his lovely memories as solace for your grief. I cannot promise he will stay, since all from earth return. But there are lessons taught down there I want this child to learn. I've looked the wide world over in search for teachers true, and from the throngs that crowd life's lanes, I have selected you. Now will you give him all your love, nor think the labor vain, nor hate me when I come to take him home again? I fancied I heard them say, Dear Lord, thy will be done. For all the joys thy child shall bring, the risk of grief will run. We'll shelter him with tenderness, we'll love him while we may, for the happiness we've known, forever grateful stay. But should the angels call for him much sooner than we've planned, we'll brave the bitter grief that comes and try to understand. And my next one is by Mary Elizabeth Fry, and it's called Do Not Stand at my grave and weep. And it reads, Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sun on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. So I picked those just to honor those that have died, that have passed, that we miss so much, and those that are still suffering, including ourselves, and how important it is that we as a community come together and that we take care of and support each other. This is why we're here. This is why we have the vigil. And I want everyone to know that I, of course, am here for everyone. And I want everyone to understand this is a process, but this is a fight that's worth fighting for. I mean, citizens are suffering without access to health care. By the stories that people have shared with us, this is serious. And for one, I'm sick and tired of legislators sitting up on whatever Capitol Hill they're sitting up on and lecturing me about how I should live my life when they're not giving me the tools or the access necessary to do that.
Yes.
So it's time to stand up, hold them accountable, hold ourselves accountable, and let's do this.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming to the Vigil. Peace and love.
Okay, so I want to wrap this up by reminding y'all that the best part of coming together is doing something, and that this fight does not end tonight. This is our last stand, but that doesn't mean that tonight is our last stand, right? We still have a chance for all of us to hold our elected officials accountable and to show Governor Cooper that we support his decision to veto a budget that doesn't represent our best interests. So, if you haven't gotten one of these little handy-dandy handouts, make sure to grab one before you leave, and on the back it has some next steps that you can take. But before you leave today, there's a couple of things that you can do. One is, Claudette, can you raise your hand?
Yes.
Share your story with Claudette in a short, 1-minute clip that we are proposing for media and share with our elected officials, where we are going to make a direct ask of them, and they can see our beautiful faces and all of the suffering that they are causing. And then two, what you can also do today is actually leave here and call your representatives, including Governor Cooper. So that includes Democratic Representative Joe Queen, or Republican Representative Michelle Presnell, our representatives over in Murphy, and then we all share the same state senator, which is Jim Davis, who we could all reach out to as well. And on the back of this, on the next step sheet, it has a link that you can go to find their contact information. So you can just go home from your cell phone, find it straight from there, or your laptop and do that. And then we also at Down Home are helping folks write letters to the editor, so you can share your personal experience with this struggle with our local press. Folks really need to hear from their neighbors and understand that this is impacting folks that they know. A lot of folks think that just because they have health insurance or they've got it figured out, that this isn't a problem that exists, right? And so sometimes we just have to put it in front of people in order to wake them up. And so if you're interested in sharing your story and getting your name out there, then come see me or Carrie, and we will help make that happen. And most importantly, we need you to be on call for rapid response. So if something drastic happens, if there's something that we can do to react immediately in order to push a budget in our favor or react to a budget that is not in our favor, we need y'all to essentially be on call and ready to respond. And it may be as simple as us being like, hey, we need you to just make a call right now to their office and tell them how to vote. So if you heard about this from any other place other than a text or an email from me or Carrie, then I need you to come give me your contact info so that I will have that. But if you heard about it from me or Carrie, then I already have your contact info, so you're good to go. And of course, if y'all have any questions or anything, then feel free to come and ask. But I would like to sign us off with a quick little chant. When I say there's no debate, you say healthcare can't wait, okay? There's no debate.
Healthcare can't wait.
There's no debate.
Healthcare can't wait.
There's no debate.
Healthcare can't wait.
All right, thanks y'all. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a nap. I'm exhausted.
Hello.
Good job, Carrie. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do. I Thank you. I'm doing better. Hair's not falling out anymore, so I'm good. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you. It was good to see you. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the work is just starting. We're going to get there, though, for sure. Thank you so much. Here, give me take that candle, or do you want to take that?